It's understandable the mistrust that many black people have because of what happened in Tuskegee. I made a statement and I took this as my platform. Elect me mayor of Tuskegee, Alabama, and never again will we allow the federal government, the state government, or any other governmental body to come into Tuskegee, Alabama and take advantage of our people. That was my platform, and I meant it. But there is no reason in 2021 for any American to say that I'm not going to take the vaccine because of what happened in Tuskegee. In this day and time, black scientists, black doctors are involved in the development of the vaccine. They are involved in helping to shape the public policy, which makes it possible for this vaccination program to be administered to the American people. John Lewis talked about good trouble, fighting racism, fighting hunger, fighting inadequate health care, fighting COVID. It's a war, and you have to fight it just like you would fight any other war. I'm willing to go to jail. I'm willing to die for it. I'm willing to struggle for it because it is right. The struggle goes on.
Alabama State to face Howard. It'll be interesting to see how the fan mix works. You know, how Howard's fan base responds, because has Howard been in a SWAC MEAC challenge? So I thought it was initially kind of good to introduce the northeast part of the MEAC to the SWAC. Yeah, Howard claims to have a homecoming. They claim to have kind of a tailgate. I want to see what that looks like. Can they travel to Atlanta? I just want to say, I haven't seen much of a Howard. I've been to a Howard homecoming. I've been to Howard tailgate. I'm sorry, Howard fans. Let me repeat. It's nothing to brag on. All right. It is a one-day Aspire or BET video. That is it. So good, but good for you. But I think that event, you need to bring a little bit more to the fire. So,
man, all them Howard fans out there, they got beat up when they dealing with the HU. Mike was like, not so fast with the homecoming.
Hey, all that SWAC arrogance just came out in that one statement.
Tune in every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern for Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Course, lecture, dismissed.
This is the BCSN Pod Zone, your place for the news, views, and conversations about all things related to HBCU athletics. Here are the BCSN SportsWrap, Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, Knights of the Round Table, the pregame show, the Carlos Brown Show, the ONG Strike Zone, and more in one place. We are changing the way you consume HBCU sports, one broadcast at a time.
Welcome into the BCSN Gametime show. Joining us here today on this Red Tails Classic weekend is head football coach and athletic director at Tuskegee University, Coach Willie Slater. How you doing today, Coach? Got your volume on mute there, Coach.
Yeah, I'm doing great. We've been here since about 5 o'clock this morning, so I'm excited and ready to go.
All right. Now, we'll record this interview early in the week, and we know Hurricane Ida has come through that direction, affected 3 states. Has there been any effect on your program and your preparation for the game?
Well, we had to cancel practice yesterday, and then which is Monday, and then we basically had to cancel practice this morning. We did walkthroughs, but it's been raining the whole time. But I think it's going to get out of here today, so we'll be able to get back started tomorrow.
And while we're talking about it, when it comes down to a normal week, obviously you guys been preparing for Fort Valley pretty much all summer, but when you get days like this or events like this where you have to lose a day or two of practice going into a game, how does that kind of change things up for you guys?
Well, it kind of changes the floor a little bit, but we've actually been here a week longer than we normally are because we started school so early. So we've actually got a little extra work in, but as far as getting prepared for the game, we kind of got to try to get back in a flow like you would normally do, during the regular season. But before that first game is never just like it's going to be after you play the first game.
All right. And speaking of that first game, obviously you guys did not play in 2020. And there's been a lot of roster turnover, a lot of the household names that Tuskegee fans have known for the last couple of years have gone on either due to transfers or jobs or finishing their education, decided to move on with their careers. So who are some of the new players that we can look for in the Golden Tigers uniform this year?
Yeah, we are going to have some new guys. We have a couple of new inside linebackers. They're twins, about 6'4", 6'5", and playing inside linebacker. That's kind of highly unusual. But Paulon, that's their last names, Wesley and Woodley, and they look just alike. I can't ever get them right. So when one walk up, I call him Willie, and he's Wesley. And then when Wesley walk up, I call him Willie walk up, I call him Wesley, and he's not. So that's how much they look just alike. So we're excited about having those guys. They're good players. Offensively, we have our tailback back. We're excited about him. I think he's a good player. We have a new fullback that transferred from junior college. Terry Bryant, I think he's a good player. Excited about our tight ends. I think we have some good tight ends that can play. Alex Mitchell and Trey O'Neal, 2 really good players, I think. At quarterback, we're going to be really young. We have a new guy at quarterback. Bryson Williams is the guy that's ahead right now. Lewis Williams is another guy. Both of those guys are 6'4". We're excited about them. Some receivers. We have Stephen Hodges back. He'll be a senior. He's already graduated. Have a true freshman named Jamal Pritchett. I like him. I think he's a good player. So we have some good players coming back that we're excited about.
Now, Coach, I'm looking at your depth chart, and I see a couple of seniors out there. Actually, one kid who I used to coach when he was in Little League, Nathan Harrison. Shout out to Nathan. Real good kid there. But I see a lot of freshmen and sophomores on the roster. Well, on the 2 deep roster. So why is Tuskegee kind of going with the younger kids, whereas a lot of universities are digging deep into the transfer portal to replenish their talent?
Yeah, I guess that's their prerogative. We have some transfer players. I guess we don't have as many as some of the other schools. I don't know what schools you're talking about, but schools on our level, they're not. Well, I guess it depends. It depends on who you are and where you are and what you need. But I don't know how good we're going to be. I really don't. I know we're going to be young, but I think we're going to have a good team, though. I like this group of guys.
Now, in the past, with you being a former quarterback coach, offensive coordinator, you know what the fans want to see. The fans want to see offense. So what can the fans expect to see on the offensive side from the Golden Tigers this upcoming year?
They'll see offense. They want to see offenses that score, score touchdowns and put points on the board. Hopefully we're going to be able to do that. We're going to be young, though, so we're going to have to be fighting some battles here early. And hopefully we can weather the storm and get better week after week. But I think we have some potential on offense.
Now, on the defensive side of the ball, new defensive coordinator this year. So what would there still be that same basic philosophy that we've seen from Tuskegee, or do we expect any changes with the new defensive coordinator coming on board?
I mean, he's not the same defense coordinator that we've had the last, 14, 15 years, but he'll do some things different. I like for guys to coach in their own personality, so his defense will reflect his personality.
Now, I had an opportunity to see some games over the weekend. The one thing that I noticed was the rust early in the game from players having not played for real football a lot since 2019. And then also special teams. The games that I saw over the weekend were won and lost on special teams. So if you would, talk about the rust versus rest factor, and then special teams. What can we look for on special teams from the Golden Tigers?
Well, talking about special teams, I like our kicker. I think he's one of the best in the country, to be honest with you. And then I think we have a good punter in Ryan Duff. Our kicker is Arnez Huzik. I think that's how you say his last name. I just call him Arnez all the time. But he's one of the best that we've had since I've been at Tuskegee. So I'm excited about him. As far as the special teams, it's going to be interesting because we got a lot of new people playing positions and all of that stuff. So I don't know exactly how good we're going to be in special teams, but I do know that special teams is a part of the 3 things that you have to win football games. So hopefully we're going to be we're not going to lose the game because of special teams, I hope.
And then the layoff factor, kids have been hitting each other for the last year and a half, almost 2 years. So the rest versus rust factor, will it be sloppy starting off? And I'm not just talking about Tuskegee. I'm just talking about football in general with teams that have been off for almost 2 years, or once the pads start popping, will their rhythm be returned to the players?
I don't know what sloppy is. I just I know we've had more guys to get beat up. We've had more guys out for scrimmages than we've ever had before, and I attribute that to not being hit for a couple of years. So anytime you're out for a period of time, it's going to take you a while to get acclimated. We expect that, but we've been having good practices, so we just have to wait and see how it goes.
All right, now I'm gonna ask you to put on your athletic director's hat for this portion of the interview, Coach. All right. Now, Coach Slater, athletic director Slater. One thing that a lot of fans of Tuskegee have noticed is that no playoffs this year. Took the classic route. We've got, I believe, 4 different classics on the schedule this year, including a return to the Turkey Day Classic. You know, why did Tuskegee take the route of playing more classics and the return to the Turkey Day Classic this year versus trying to get into the Division II playoffs?
The way I understand it, more fans wanted us to go back to the Turkey Day Classic. That's the complaints I've had. I've had people put notes on my cars at the beginning of the season, you know, saying really harsh things because we're not playing the Classic. So now that we're playing the Classics, people don't want to play the Classic. They want to be in the playoffs. So I don't know. I don't just I guess you do what your gut feeling is, but felt like it would be good for us to go back to the Classics. We tried the playoffs. It's tough. I mean, we were able to get in the playoffs. We were being successful in the playoffs, and then all of a sudden, it was made so that it was really difficult to get in the playoffs, so you can have success in the playoffs. So there's some things. There has been some issues out there that has kind of steered me back towards the direction of doing what's best for our program. And we need to try to catch up with everybody else out there as far as facilities and all of that stuff. The only way that you're going to do that is you're going to have to raise money to do that. So we figure we can start putting ourselves in position to make some money to upgrade our facilities and all of that stuff. We have a chance to be better. You can get that one player that makes a difference. I give an example like Alabama A&M. They have a great quarterback. I mean, he's probably going to play pro football. They got it to come to Alabama A&M. Why can't Tuskegee get somebody to come to Tuskegee that way? The only way we're going to do it, though, we got to have something similar to what they're leaving from to come here. You was talking about the portal and all of that stuff. If they're going to transfer from the University of Alabama, they want to go somewhere that looks similar to the University of Alabama. They don't want to go where they don't have any kind of facilities. So that's what we're looking at. And I think we're getting behind, to be honest with you, because we don't have the facilities. So we're trying to put forth an effort to encourage, to help us get a new facility and help us to catch up with everybody else.
Now, this Red Tails Classic that you are playing this weekend, talk about that Classic and the significance of the Classic, especially when you consider the history of Tuskegee University, the Tuskegee Airmen, and General Chappie James, and just the Red Tails aura that surrounds this university.
Yeah, I mean, if you come in my office, one of the first things you see is I have a sign over there with the like the movie about the Red Tails, and that has kind of blown me away as a person to realize, and I never realized this because I didn't know. Honest with you, I grew up in the state of Alabama, really didn't know that much about Tuskegee and its history, but since I've been here, I've learned a lot about Tuskegee and its history. And one of the things that really sticks out in my mind is what has been done as far as the Tuskegee Airmen. I think that is just outstanding. Because me being a Black man understands that Black people have sense. We've always had sense. My dad didn't finish college, but I think he's one of the most intelligent men that ever lived, in my opinion. So just to know that those men could to operate those vehicles and do what they did, it's no surprise to me, because I've always known we had the ability to do that, but them to have the ability to do it and have the facilities to do it, and I just think that's outstanding. So one of the things that we want to do is we want to recognize that. We want to recognize that in every way that we can possibly recognize it, because I think they deserve it. And so that's why we're excited about the Red Tails. That actually came, that suggestion came from another person. He's deceased now, but he used to work with Lionel Richie and his crew. But I can't think of his name. That's why I keep going round and round. But he was the one that mentioned that to me first. Said, you got to come up with a Red Tails Classic. And then I was talking to Johnny Williams, who helped us put on this Red Tails Classic and get ESPN involved and all of that stuff. I was telling him about that. So then he kind of took it and went to his folks at the ESPN, and then they jumped on board and said they thought it was a great idea. So now ESPN is really, and now they got Boeing involved and a lot of different people involved. And hopefully it's gonna become something that's really, really big. But in turn, I think it's gonna help us. It should help us too. It's gonna help us in the long run to accomplish some of the things that we're trying to accomplish around Tuskegee. So I'm excited about it. I think it's a great thing for our program. I think it's a great thing for our university.
Speaking of ESPN, when I look down the SIAC schedule, I believe you guys are on there like 4 or 5 times this particular season. What does that mean for exposure and the brand of Tuskegee, especially when it comes to recruiting?
Yeah, I think that's great. I mean, I just hope that we can hold up our side of the bargain, because if you're not winning, they're not going to want to see you on TV. But if we can just hold up our side of the bargain, I think it's going to be it's a great thing for our program. It's a great thing that we are recognized. And Tuskegee is a huge name out there, and I recognize that. One of the things that I'm the most proud of is that my son, I only have one son, and he graduated from Tuskegee, and my oldest grandson has graduated from Tuskegee. Those things right there really means a lot to me as a person, because I think that much of this program, I think that much of this university. I just think it is one of the greatest places for a young person, particularly a young African-American person, to go to school. And because we have white kids too. Our kickers are, right now, our kicker and our long snapper and our punter, all those guys are white guys. We've had some before, and they've gone on and gotten really good jobs. They have great jobs, and they're doing really well now, and they have great families. So, I mean, I just think I say a young Black man, but I think it's a great institution for anybody, any young person, to come to this place and get a degree, because that degree means something. I mean, when you say Tuskegee University, it really means something all over the world, not just in South Alabama. I mean, I was in Anaheim, California at a high school, walked in the door with a Tuskegee shirt on, and everybody goes, Tuskegee, Some other universities that I've coached there, and I walked in and said, "Is that?" It was in Alabama. They were asking me, "Was it in Florida?" So I mean, we are known all over the world, not just South Alabama. So, and we have people that we have alumni groups all over the country. I've been all over the country to alumni groups. So it's just a great place. It's a great place for young people. That's why I've been here so long. Probably could have gone other places, but I just think this is one of the best places for young men in the country. I just really do.
And as someone with a degree from Tuskegee myself, I can attest to what you're saying is so true. I can wear my Tuskegee shirt just about anywhere, and 99% of the people know. They may not know where it's at on the map, but they have heard of Tuskegee. So Coach, the biggest thing around college athletics this year is NIL, name, image, and likeness. But when most people talk about NIL, they're talking about it for the Power 5 schools, maybe some of the better FCS programs. If you would take a moment, talk about NIL on the Division II level, and then break it even further down for HBCUs and any possible opportunities, or on the flip side, if we're still getting left out of the conversation.
I'm not that familiar with it, to be honest with you, because I don't see it being that much of a deal for us because of what you just said. I mean, it's a deal that can really I think that's going to really benefit the Power 5 schools, those big guys, those big time guys that has those big names out there. We're not going to have that many people. I hadn't had anybody, tell me that they were doing anything on that line, yet. So I'm not that. So I hadn't really studied it that much because I don't think it's going to impact us that much, to be honest with you. But I'm for whatever. I feel like because of how hard we work, our young people, how hard they work out there on that field, I just feel like they deserve whatever. I just think they deserve it. So, if they can make a little money legally off of it, I just say more power to them, and I'm 100% behind them.
All right, a couple more questions, and we go get you out of here. Got some changes going on there, personnel wise, throughout the athletic department. Hired a new SID and a new volleyball coach within the last couple of weeks. Still have not named a permanent softball coach after a friend of yours and mine passed away. Coach Edward Carvin passed away a couple of years ago. So just kind of talk about the different changes that are going on with the personnel there at Tuskegee University.
Yeah, we lost those positions. I mean, we didn't just lose those positions. So, I mean, those positions was lost right before COVID hit. And then, and we never filled those positions. And I can't really talk about why, but they wasn't filled. So we're trying to catch up and trying to make sure we get back on track to where we need to be as an athletic program. Honestly, we're behind. So we gotta catch up and do whatever it takes to get those positions filled. And we're currently working on that. That's all I can say.
All right, Coach. Any last things that you want to say to the Golden Tiger alumni, faithful fans going into this game?
Well, we're excited about this game. I mean, we just, I promise you, we're going to play hard. I promise you, we're going to represent you well, and hopefully we'll come out of this thing with the win. But it's not going to be easy for us because we've been off a long time. They actually have an advantage because they did play in the spring. But I'm excited about our kids. I'm excited about seeing them play. I just can't wait to see them play.
All right, and there you have it. Coach Willie Slater, 2006, correct me if I'm wrong, Coach, 2006, since you've been there?
Started in January 17th, 2006.
2006, so he long time coach at Tuskegee University, over 100 wins there at the university, and a couple of national championships since he's been there also. Try to repeat the greatness of Tuskegee once again. Coach Willie Slater, we thank you for joining us here today on the BCSN Gametime show. Good luck and God bless, Coach.
Thank you.
The inaugural Boeing Red Tails Classic is personal to me. It's more than a matchup between Tuskegee University and Fort Valley State University. My beloved father, Colonel Lawrence E. Roberts, was a proud member of the Tuskegee Airmen. 922 brave pilots, also known as the Red Tails, fought in World War II. The Boeing Red Tails Classic is more than a celebration of HBCUs. It's a reminder of the Tuskegee Airmen's valor and sacrifice, the first class of black fighter pilots who trained at Tuskegee Institute in Alabama during the height of Jim Crow, fighting for America, while in many ways, America fought right back against them. This inaugural Boeing Red Tails Classic, this football game, is for them. And it's quite special that this game, which will be played at the Crampton Bowl in Montgomery, Alabama, opens the 2021 college football season on Sunday, September 5th at 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPNU. When you watch this game, please remember its larger meaning, that it's for a group who advocated for themselves while still facing prejudice and discrimination in the segregated Army. The Tuskegee Airmen story hardly gets told enough. I, proud daughter of a Tuskegee Airman, join others who champion their legacy and how they influence generations of black cultural and political leaders.
Welcome into the BCSN Gametime show. Joining us for this segment is Athletic Director for Fort Valley State University, and I knew him as Coach Holloman when I first met him. I used to call him Mr. Holloman when I worked. Well, we worked on campus at the same time. Now he is Dr. Anthony Holloman, Athletic Director for Fort Valley State University. Dr. Holloman, how are you doing today?
Good morning, AD, and thank you for having me. I know we go back a long ways, and I've seen you doing things with the young people in Tuskegee, coaching their baseball, developing, good young men, to working on campus, to the work you're doing now. And so I'm proud to call you a friend.
I appreciate you, and I appreciate you taking my phone calls and texts every now and then when I shoot them to you when you're not so busy being athletic director. So with that being said, let's start off with the obvious. You guys are in Montgomery, Alabama, to play in the inaugural Red Tails Classic. So what does this game mean to your university playing it is this inaugural one? And then I need you to take it a step further, since you worked at Tuskegee for a period of time. What does it mean to you personally to participate in this game against your former institution?
AD, it's an exciting time for our university and our athletic program to get to be a part of the inaugural Red Tails Classic. When Coach Slater called me about, potentially playing a game against Tuskegee, that was exciting in itself. But when it morphed into a Red Tails Classic, that'll be a ESPN game, that elevated it. And, historically, the Red Tail was, very significant to Tuskegee, to African Americans all over the world. And so I had an opportunity to work at Tuskegee during the time that we rededicated Moulton Field and brought lots of the Tuskegee Airmen back to campus and recognized them for their contributions to not only Tuskegee Institute, but to our nation as a whole. And so to have a chance to compete against that storied program at Tuskegee, Coach Slater, championship coach over and over. So it'll be a challenge. I'm excited. I have talked to our team about what winning habits look like. And, Tuskegee is a great example of that. And having a chance to have worked at Tuskegee for 5 years, serving as athletic director in 2009, when we won the SIAC championship and the Pioneer Bowl. I've been a part of that, and that's what we're trying to build here at Fort Valley.
Yeah, I just remember that unfortunately you left us before we while we were on that championship run in basketball back in 2009, 2010, leaving us. I believe you went to did you go to South Carolina State after you left us?
South Carolina State is vice president for University of Basketball.
Yeah. So you missed that ring when I was on the bench with Douglas, but I ain't gonna hold that against you, my brother. But speaking of, you've been in every HBCU conference that we have except for one. Haven't been in the GCAC, but you spent time in the SWAC at Jackson State. Obviously, you've been in Tuskegee and Stillman when Stillman was in the SIAC. South Carolina State, North Carolina A&T State in the MEAC, and then, well, Wiley College, which is in the Red River Conference, and you worked and played at Johnson C. Smith. So what I'm going to ask you is maybe a unique question. Having been in all these different conferences, give us some of the differences between, these different conferences, be it culturally, be it fan base, be it experience. What were some of the major differences that you saw between the different conferences? Because the MEAC and the CIAA are known as basketball conferences. The SIAC and the SWAC are known as football conferences.
And so, I think that's one of the interesting dynamics. As a player at Johnson C. Smith, Coach Flowers and I were teammates. And, I thought we had pretty good talent, but we never put it together in the form of wins. And our basketball team was a championship level program. And, during that time, you had great players at Virginia Union, North Carolina Central. Central won a national championship. Virginia Union won a national championship. And so they are rightfully basketball conferences. Now, of course, during my playing time, the CIAA had Ben Coates, who went on to a long career in the NFL. Yancey Thigpen had a great career. Robert Massey had a great career. So having a chance to play against those type of players, was the highlight of my career. Then, you move over to the MEAC. The MEAC was a conference that has been dominated by either South Carolina State, A&T before they left the conference, and FAMU. So really, some teams have broke through, but it's really been pretty much a 2 or 3 team race every year. And so that's the thing I think that separates the MEAC, that there has not been the depth in the football programs. Morgan, Howard, Norfolk, those programs, have been down pretty much their entire last 20 to 30 years, 20 to 30 years. In the SWAC, historically, the SWAC has been, the best football conference for HBCUs because you got so many Hall of Famers, from Jackson State, Grambling, Southern, Alcorn. But what you've seen is a shift in the dynamics where, Jackson and Southern and Grambling were fighting for championships year in and year out, to now Alcorn is the power in the SWAC. And, some of the other programs like Prairie View have had their time where they went 87 in a row losing to winning SWAC championships. And then the SIAC. I think the SIAC is truly what college sports are about. The SIAC has led Division II in attendance 15 years in a row. And so I think we have a rabid fan base. And then I think there's balance. Now, Tuskegee, has dominated during the stretch of time. I think when I was there, Tuskegee was 90-26 between Coach Comingee and Coach Slater. But you've seen Albany State, have some success. You see, Savannah State coming back into the league. Fort Valley has won a little. So, I think there's good balance between the schools in the SIAC. And of course, right now, Coach Reginald Ruffin and Miles, are the championship, two-time champion, defending champion. And so now we're looking to unseat Miles. But I do think that all four of the HBCU conferences have, great history. There's balance among the teams in all of the sports. And so we want to be competitive at Fort Valley State across the board. And I think I've assembled a good coaching staff amongst all of the sports, a good administrative team. And I think we're ready to win championships this year.
Now, before we get back to talking about things that are happening at Fort Valley State, you also spent time at Tennessee State University, which is an HBCU that participates in a non-traditional HBCU conference, being the Ohio Valley Conference. Just kind of talk about that unique dynamic that Tennessee State finds itself in.
So, AD, when I went to Tennessee State, they had just come off a 11-1 championship season where they won the OVC. They have not been able to reach those heights since that period of time. And I think one of the unique challenges that Tennessee State faces is their ability to recruit the type of student athlete that it takes to compete in the OVC, because I think in OVC, most of the institutions there are funding all of their sports at the maximum level. And so what you'll find in the HBCU conferences, not all of our schools are able to put the resources needed to max out all of their sports. And so if you are playing with fewer scholarship athletes, that's going to be an impediment to your overall success. Now, one of the things that Tennessee State was challenged with when I was there, we were playing in the Titans Stadium. We had a great relationship with the late Bud Adams, but that was not conducive to a fan-friendly environment. You playing in a 70,000 seat stadium and you got 5,000 to 10,000 people in the stands. And so while it was a great facility, it was not the intimate environment that you're looking for a college football game. And so now they've since come back to the campus. It'll be interesting because Rod Reed, a good friend and former great player there at Tennessee State, is no longer the coach. And so now you have Eddie George, a great NFL star, coming in to take over that program. And so it'll be interesting to see what they're able to do. I know he and Coach Prime will battle in Memphis, in a couple of weeks. And so they'll be fighting for supremacy of the former NFL legends who are walking the HBCU sidelines.
Now let's get back to the institution that you're at now. Got a lot of exciting things been happening at Fort Valley since you've become athletic director. Even add a new sport, men's volleyball there at Fort Valley. So just kind of talk about some of the non-football related activities that you guys have going on there at Fort Valley.
So, AD, you mentioned men's volleyball. Men's volleyball is the second fastest growing sport for boys in the United States. And so we were attracted to adding that sport or looking to add that sport based on their ability to be successful. I think the maximum number of scholarships is 4.5. And so Division I and Division II play their championships together. So you could actually be on a national platform and you would be able to do it in a manner that would fit our financial resources. And so I work with Commissioner Greg Moore, our President's Council, to explore adding the sport. and I had the good fortune of serving as chair of the committee. And so we worked with Wade Gerard and the First Point Volleyball Foundation, along with Coach John Sparrow, who is the U.S. Olympic team coach, as well as the head coach of UCLA Bruins. And, you know, they worked with us to secure $1 million funding that was divided among the 6 institutions who added the sport. And so that was Fort Valley, Morehouse, Central State, Kentucky State, Benedict, and initially Payne College. So when Payne lost his membership in the NCAA, Edward Waters, a new member of the SIAC, took their place. And so those are the 6 schools in the SIAC with men's volleyball. We're excited, was able to hire a great young coach, Lawrence Rather. Larry is coming to us from the University of Charleston. He was a player at Ball State University. And so he brings a wealth of experience. He was in the USA Volleyball Pipeline. And so we've spent the last year and a half recruiting nationally for the best players that we could find to help us in our inaugural season. And so I'm really excited, AD. We will be hosting UCLA on our campus. They're going to come here the week of March 21st, 2022, and spend 5 days on our campus. We're going to play them, as well as Morehouse will play them. But more importantly, they will help us bring some awareness to the sport to help more young people look at it as a potential opportunity to get involved and start playing with opportunities at not only our institutions, but institutions around the country. So really excited for that. Then on the other end, AD, we have undergone some renovations to our facilities. So we have put down a new surface for our track, and you know, it was much needed. We had not been able to host meets on our campus in several years. And now we're in the process of completing a project to add field turf. And so we will go up against the wire before that project is done, but we expect to have it done the week of September 11th. And we host Lane College on September 18th. So the upgrade to our facilities will, you know, kind of be icing on the cake, because, you know, we think we have a great stadium, but now we'll have a surface that will allow us to compete at a high level. It'll allow us to actually be able to practice in an environment that's safer. It'll allow us to get on the practice field under the lights in the morning so our kids can go to class, you know, because we want them to be students first. And so we're just excited about the progress that we're making in the athletic department at Fort Valley. In addition, I also incorporated Athletic Association, the Fort Valley State Athletic Association, and I'm modeling it after Tuna, which I serve as executive director of at Tuskegee. And so, you know, we know that we need to develop the resources to support our programs. And so we're excited to partner with our alums and friends to develop the necessary resources to build championship level programs across the board.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with your work you did with Tuskegee University National Advancement, or TUNA, as we called it for Tuskegee. So if you're bringing that program to Fort Valley, watch out, Wildcat fans, you know, watch out the rest of the SIAC, because that's going to be the funding that you need to do a lot of the different projects that you have going on around there. Now, got to ask you this personal question. I want to call you coach so bad, but I'm trying to respect your title and call you doctor while we're on the air. Now, you and I, when we really dealt with each other on campus, it was around the sport of baseball. Fort Valley currently does not play baseball, but we know what baseball means to the African American community, especially when you go all the way back to the Negro Leagues and things like that. That was our sport before basketball and football became our sport. Is Fort Valley exploring adding baseball back into the coffers, or is it something that we got to kind of push down the road until we get some other things handled?
So, AD, interestingly enough, I'm very passionate about baseball. I've had a chance to spend some time of recent with Maurice Grissom. Maurice is a Florida A&M grad and a great former Atlanta Brave world champion who actually runs a baseball league in Atlanta with over 500 African-American players. And so, I'm going to bring Maurice to one of our AD council meetings. I actually serve as the chair of the SIAC AD's Council, and really want to look at our institutions and Fort Valley in particular about the ability to add baseball as a sport, because, we can see the dearth of African Americans playing professional baseball, and they're not playing professional baseball because they're not playing high school and little league and college baseball. And so we want to consider looking at how adding that sport would impact us from a Title IX perspective, but looking at it that it would be a sport that we could add. AD Fort Valley is the second largest school land-wise in the university system of Georgia with over 1,300 undeveloped acres. So clearly we have the bandwidth to add the sport. I've been talking to my softball coach about the potential of building multiple fields of sports complex where we could host youth baseball, which would be kind of the beginning of developing the college program. And so my goal is to hopefully find partners that would be willing to help us underwrite the costs. I actually had a chance on Friday night to spend some time with the chairman of the Atlanta Braves, Terry McGirt, a very nice gentleman who I think does have an interest in seeing the sport grow within the African-American community. So hopefully we'll be able to leverage some of those relationships to bring baseball back, because I do have a passionate alumni base who remembers when Fort Valley was a major baseball power.
Definitely. And we love to see that. Now, adding all these sports, kind of talk about the relationship between athletics and academics as far as the overall mission of the university. When you're adding sports, you're adding kids, which most universities always want to add kids to their enrollment. So kind of just talk about the relationship of how athletics and the rest of the university work together in that mission.
So AD Fort Valley has 315 athletes across 12 sports. And our overall student enrollment is just a little under 3,000. So we make up about 10% of the student population at Fort Valley State University. And so athletics is a significant part of the institution. It's one of the ways that you gain great visibility. So for people who may not know as much about Fort Valley State, they'll have the ability to turn us on ESPN on Sunday afternoon when we play Tuskegee, and that will give people some familiarity when you think about the former great athletes that have come through Fort Valley, from Tyrone Poole to Greg Lord to Marquette King to Rayfield Wright, and the list goes on and on. Eddie Anderson. We have a rich tradition athletically, but we want to develop young men and women who will be great contributors to our society. And we think athletics gives you a foundation because it gives you a level of toughness, commitment, work ethic, all the things that you need to be successful. And so my focus here is to improve the graduation rates of our student athletes. I believe our graduation rate is higher for athletics than it is for the university. And so, we take pride in that. But, our main focus is to bring young people in, help them develop into, contributors to society, help them identify what their career aspirations are, give them the tools to be successful while developing them to be the best student athletes they can be. And so, our goal is a well-rounded young person. I'm thankful for the experiences I had as a student athlete at Johnson C. Smith University. It helped shape me into the person that I am today. And I think it's reflective. My head football coach, Maurice Flowers, is a Johnson C. Smith graduate, as well as my basketball coach, Mark Sherrill. So, really proud of those guys and the work they're doing here at Fort Valley and the work they did to establish themselves professionally before coming here.
All right, we're gonna get you out of here on this one, Doc. Give that last words you want to get out to your alumni, your fans, your students, anything you want to get out for your last comments. And when you get done with that, tell everybody how they can follow Fort Valley, find Fort Valley, and most importantly, how they can send you a check.
So, AD, I'm excited for the 2021 fall sports season. Football is a sport we're all passionate about. I know that the last year plus has been difficult with the pandemic, but we're going to get this season kicked off, and we want to do it safely. So I encourage everyone to mask up, get your Fort Valley State mask, come out, support us Sunday afternoon. If you can't be there, tune in on ESPNU. It's a 6 p.m. Central kickoff. We're excited for the competition. We believe that we are one of the better teams in the league. And so if you want to win a championship, it typically goes through Tuskegee. And so, we're going to be prepared. And then, Fort Valley State University, you can go to our athletic website, www.fvsusports.com, for the latest and greatest about our programs. You can give on that website. It'll take you to the Athletic Association as well. If you're a prospective student athlete, you can complete a form there so that we'll have your information so we can start to follow you, because we're always interested in identifying young people with the character and skill that would fit here at Fort Valley State University. And, AD, I thank you for the work that you and your team is doing, because it's telling our stories, which is critical, because the SIAC and the other HBCU conferences are giving young people chances, because we know that HBCUs help create the Black middle class.
And there you have it, Dr. Anthony Holloman, Athletic Director, Fort Valley State Wildcats. And they will play this Sunday against Tuskegee University in the inaugural Red Tails Classic in Montgomery, Alabama. Dr. Holloman, thank you for your time.
Thank you, AD.
For 200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, this is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together, we can be the change.
It's the show where we take you inside the game before the game begins. It's the pregame. With your host, Charles Bishop and Neely. So get ready, because we pregame harder than the other show's party. It's the pregame.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Brian, AD, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Welcome into the BCSN Gametime show. Joining us here today is Coach Maurice Flowers of Fort Valley State University. And first of all, Coach, before I even get into anything, how you doing? How's everything going for you?
As they say, everything is good in the valley.
Everything's good in the valley.
Yes.
Now, Coach, you've been on campus about 18 months or so, give or take, and have yet to coach a football game. Tell me how that is, being on campus for so long, because if you're like any other coach, I've spent my fair share of time coaching, you kind of get antsy when you go that long without actually getting into your craft.
Well, AD, we're gonna cut that time by about 4 to 5 months, because our president and athletic director got us a couple of games in the spring, and we were able to play Shorter and Erskine, two teams that I know we're going to get into talking about our opponent here soon, but two teams that aren't our opponent's caliber and talent, but we were just very fortunate to be able to play those two games. But as you said, to get into a rhythm of being in your craft, that's why it was important for us. The difference with us at Fort Valley State and with me being hired was I was hired, but I felt like after being here for a year and almost a year and a half, that it was very important for us to play football games. And our administration felt the same thing. We're new head coach, new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, new staff. It was just vital for us to be able to play those games to get ready for these big challenges that we have coming up in the SIAC.
Now let's go back to those games that you played in the spring. Did you treat that as normal spring practice, and then those games that you had were just what you would have done when you normally would have had your spring scrimmages? Or did you approach those as a regular game? We're going through game week with our Monday routine, our Tuesday routine, et cetera, et cetera. How did you approach the spring?
Great question, AD. We went through it as a normal game because, as I said, we've been on campus and we got a chance to know our guys, but the only thing we hadn't done was been through actual games. And so it was very important for us to go through a game week, game preparation. So we did treat them as real ball games. We did have, as you just said, a regular Monday game week, Tuesday, and so on throughout the week. And so we did not approach them as spring practices. We did not approach them as scrimmages, as there are some other people that played in the spring that called them scrimmages and they weren't filmed and things, but we approached them as real games, and we were able to go through the ups and downs and the ebb and flows of a game, being up, being down, and having the officials, the clocks, going through the adrenaline rush that a game brings, and also seeing our guys in action, and also being able to develop some quality depth, and also giving guys an opportunity to show their gifts and talents and how they can contribute to the Wildcat football program.
Now, you say you approached it as a game, but we know, quote unquote, these games did not count, even though if there's a clock on the field and stripes on the field, the games count.
Yes,
but I asked you that to find out, did you play your ones the entire time, or did you go maybe a little bit deeper into your roster and maybe get some of your 2s and 3s some extra playing time this spring?
AD, we played them as ball games. We had but we did have some of our players that we did hold out. Our starting left tackle and left guard, we held out as precaution. Our tailback transfer that was Rookie of the Year in the CIAA, Emmanuel Wilson, we held him out. And then on defense, all SIAC defensive end, Siri Patterson, we held him out as a precaution. And one of our linebackers we held out as a precaution also, one of our starting linebackers, Matt Bush. So we were without, I would say, projected 5 or 6 starters that we did not play in the spring, but it really gave us an opportunity, as I said, to develop some quality depth and also to let some other guys just get out there and get after it.
Now, for the past couple of years before you got to Fort Valley, they had a quarterback by the name of Slade Jarman, and Slade Jarman, fairly good quarterback, one of the top ones in the SIAC, and arguably, if he does not get injured in 2019, Fort Valley is in the championship game instead of Albany State. So, with that being the background, what about the quarterback situation now with Jarman being gone?
Well, Slade still comes around. Slade is actually getting ready to go overseas to play in a professional league overseas. Still a great relationship with the program. He's a graduate, has his degree. But Slade, he was the 2019 SIAC Offensive Player of the Year. As a matter of fact, Fort Valley State had the Defensive Player of the Year and Demetrius Harris and the Offensive Player of the Year. But in replacing Slade, it's a big task. But with the new system coming in, and when I was hired in January of 20, we brought in a couple of quarterbacks at that time that were able to start learning the system. And we also had a good recruiting class of quarterbacks that we brought in that came in the fall of 20. And so, right now the leader in the clubhouse is Tyrell Jackson, and Tyrell Jackson, quarterback from Wren High School in Greenville, South Carolina area. High school that produced Kelly Bryant, former starter at Clemson, and comes from a good high school system, well coached. And then from high school, he went to ASA New York. So he comes in not as a high school freshman with no college experience. He did have some junior college experience. And he's really picked up the offense, taking the bull by the horns, and he's our leader on our offense. Knows our system, gets guys in the right spot, and just he's a really good quarterback. Pleasure to have him on our ball club. And then after him, our number 2 is Victor Dixon, big freshman out of Westside High School in Macon, about 6'4", 6'5", really strong arm, going to be good. And, we got some other guys that we brought in too that are fighting to catch those 2.
Now, just like most coaches, you spent your fair share of time at multiple spots. Spent time at Johnson C. Smith, Fayetteville, Miles, Mississippi Valley, and Shaw. So most of their time has been at the Division II level, primarily, about half and half SIAC and CIAA. So I'm going to take you away from the Fort Valley portion of it right now. I want to talk about the 2 conferences, CIAA, SIAC. Yes, CIAA is traditionally known as the basketball conference. SIAC is traditionally known as the football conference. You've been in both conferences. In your opinion, what is the big difference in the 2 conferences, be it style, be it culture? And then I want you to narrow it down to what's the differences in the conferences in football. Okay,
as far as styles, I'd say the CIAA plays a more wide open style, spread offense type, where the SIAC plays a more physical brand of football. And also the SIAC, the resources in the SIAC and investments into football is bigger than the CIAA. You look at the facilities in the SIAC, the weight rooms, the stadiums, those types of things. The SIAC is ahead of the CIAA. But 2 very good football conferences. Been fortunate enough to be in both, and say I was at Johnson C. Smith coming out as a high school head coach and taking some teams to some state championship games and some good places in North and South Carolina. And then going back to my alma mater at Johnson C. Smith in 10 and 11 and, was working to help change the program and change the culture there. And then moved to Shaw University with the new head coach, Robert Massey, former NFL player, was his offensive coordinator for a couple of years. But also I'll go back to the Johnson C. Smith years. In 2011, as offensive coordinator at Johnson C. Smith, is really one of my first times coaching against SIAC schools. And that was against Miles College and Reggie Ruffin at the Pioneer Bowl in Columbus, Georgia. And Johnson C. Smith, we were fortunate to come up with a win against Miles, who was coming off of Coach Ruffin's first year, coming off of a SIAC championship. And just really to see the preparation and the athletes and how well coached his team was really, let me know that the SIAC was very, very, very strong. And then to go to Shaw University in 12 and 13 and still mix it up with some SIAC schools. And as you mentioned, then I had the opportunity to go work with Coach Ruffin as his offensive coordinator. And we won a SIAC championship in 2015. And then I was also there in 16 with him and spent a short amount of time. Most of my time is on the Division II level, but I spent some time at Campbell University on Mike Minter's staff on the FCS level as quarterback coach. And then moved on to Fayetteville State and then the CIAA. And then that time at Fayetteville State, invaluable. Coach Richard Hayes, Bill Hayes, Hall of Famer Bill Hayes' nephew, Winston-Salem State and A&T. Coach Hayes, who was the head coach at Fayetteville State, outstanding program. Went to 3 straight CIAA championship games, 3 straight Southern Division championships, and built a winning program. And was blessed with my time there. Spent a year at Mississippi Valley State in 18, and that's where I first met Slade Jarman. He was just leaving to transfer to Fort Valley State, and good time at Mississippi Valley State, and then coming back to Fayetteville State in 2019, and just continue building on that championship program and looking to do the same at Fort Valley.
And we'll forgive you if you accidentally slip and get those valleys confused, since you've been there both Fort Valley, Mississippi Valley.
Yes,
we'll charge it to your head, not your heart, Coach.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right, now Red Tails Classic. What does it mean for you, your players, and your program to participate in this inaugural historic event?
Well, AD, first thing is that is why the event is taking place. It's really about the history of Tuskegee University and Tuskegee Airmen and their contribution to United States history and their accomplishments. And first off, that's what it's about, and their accomplishments. And it's just amazing and long overdue that these types of things happen and recognize the Red Tails for what they did. And we're just very blessed to be chosen to play in the game. But I don't want anything to any moment to go by that we're not thankful for everything that Tuskegee University and the Airmen did for us as African Americans also, and our recognition, which is so much deserved. And to move to football, to be in this inaugural classic, to be on ESPNU, is just a great opportunity for our university and our football program.
Coach, that sounds good, but your job is to go there and win the football game and to spoil the inaugural Red Tails Classic for Tuskegee University. So what is it going to take for Fort Valley to be victorious on Sunday afternoon?
Well, first off, it's going to take great preparation and a great focus and a great mindset. One thing that we know as a coaching staff and as a program is that it starts with the leader of Tuskegee football program, and that's Coach Slater, who's a champion. Coach Slater's won on every level. Coach Slater's won national championships as an offensive coordinator. He's won many championships in the SIAC as the head coach at Tuskegee. So what we do know is that we're going up against a coach that knows how to win, that knows how to recruit, and his guys are going to play hard. And what we do know is that this is Tuskegee's Classic, and they're not looking to give us anything. We know it's going to have to be a win that's going to be earned. So we're looking to finish our preparation and to go in expecting to play a team that's a championship caliber team. Having been in the SIAC, we know that part of the SIAC normally comes down to a Tuskegee Miles game in the last game of the season to go to the championship. And so we expect to play a championship caliber ball club on September 5th. And for us to win the game, we're going to have to bring a championship effort because this is a well-coached team. They're going to be, as I described Tuskegee to our football team, they're going to be big, they're going to be athletic, they're going to be strong. Okay, so we'll start with those things right there. And of course, they're going to be well-coached. So we know we're going to have to bring our A game to come out with a win.
Yeah, it may come down to Tuskegee and Miles on the west side as it traditionally does, but there's been a number of times when it's come down to Fort Valley and Albany State on the east side to see who the East representative. So you've got your you've got your own tradition over there in your half of the conference also, Coach.
Yes, sir. We look forward. We look forward to it coming down to that ball game in Game 10 in the Classic.
Yes, always a classic. And if you've never been to Columbus, Georgia for that classic, it's always blown out. And especially now since the Tuskegee Morehouse Classic has moved away from Columbus. Well, Fort Valley and Albany, they own the city now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to it.
All right, Coach. Getting off of football for a minute, but still staying within athletics. NIL. It's been the hot topic of the last 6 months or so when it comes to athletes. But you know as well as I do, NIL was really meant for the Division I, the Power 5 schools. There may be some other Group of 5 schools who may be able to benefit, but it was not really built for FCS, Division II, etc. But you still have to deal with it. Where do you see NIL, and do you really see opportunities for our Division II athletes, or is it just going to be the haves get richer and the have-nots still have not?
I believe it's going to be a lot of the haves and the have-nots, as you just described. And really on the Division II level, at our level at Fort Valley State, we haven't had to deal with it much. We have one football player that is got into an NIL deal. That's our pro prospect wide receiver, Shamar Bridges. And he has, he's went through the process to do those things. But for the most part, it's not something that we really have to spend a lot of time dealing with on our level. It is the haves and the have-nots. And it's unfortunate, but I think it's going to be on our level. It's going to be for the guys that have definite pro potential and that are standing out, right? Like that going into seasons. And it's really tough on our level because a lot of times those guys, if you look at the FBS level, you've got incoming freshmen getting major deals, guys that haven't even shown on the field. And that wouldn't happen on Division II level. Most of the time, it's going to be a guy that has established himself and as a prospect on the next level. And most of the time, he's only going to have 1 year left, as we're seeing right now with our guy.
Also, the other big thing is the portal. Some teams still build their programs from the ground up, i.e., high school players. Some programs still take the JUCO route, and a lot more teams seem like they're going towards the portal to fill those roster needs on an annual basis. What is Fort Valley's take on how they're going to be building their roster now and into the future?
Thank you for the question, AD. Well, first off, as a former high school head coach, I believe in the high school football player. And we're going to always recruit the high school football player first and foremost, because we're looking to build a program and not a team per se that's going to be all or nothing for a year or two. And sometimes that's what you do when you go and you get you build your roster mainly with transfers and drop downs that are coming from the portal. And also, I truly believe that at a university such as Fort Valley State that has some good tradition and history, that you appreciate it more when you come in as a freshman. A lot of time, guys that are there to your program for 1 year, 2 year, don't learn the traditions and appreciate what it means to be at a historically Black college or university. And also staying with the portal question, AD, is that a lot of the young men that reached out to Fort Valley State or that we recruited from the portal were young men from PWIs, public white institutions, that were looking to go to an HBCU. And I think that's a great thing that they see that HBCUs do have quality programs and coaches that can help them get their goals of graduating and possibly getting an opportunity at the next level. So those are, but our main take is we're going to go with high school players, and we're not saying we don't recruit for the portals. We do have some transfers of our own. We do, and we will search them out, but it has to be the right fit. And but again, as the head coach, we won't start with and build our program solely around transfers from the portal, but we definitely will take them though.
You know, sitting there and listening to your explanation made me think of a follow-up question. What about the players that go the other way? They spend time at your university, they spend a year, they spend 2 years, and for whatever reason, don't feel that the marriage is working correctly, and then they exercise their option to go to the portal. How does that affect the way you have to, basically, how do you have to recruit? You know, I expect to have 20 slots open. Now I've got 25 slots now because I had 5 that I didn't count on leaving that left. You know, I knew 2 of them was gonna go, but the other 3 I wasn't counting on. So how does it change how you have to approach recruit? Because basically you still have to re-recruit your players that are on campus.
Oh, yes. And AD, I'll say it starts with our coaching staff and really goes with, you hear most coaches talk about the culture that they develop within their program. And I'll say the first thing about the culture that we create at Fort Valley State is one of honesty and being upfront, and know that our players know that we're going to recruit, and we're recruiting quality ball players. And there's going to always be competition for positions. So there's nothing promised here as far as playing time, and the young men know that they're going to have to bring it every single day because there's talented people at their position. When we recruit, we're very honest when we recruit guys that, you know, you're going to have to compete when you come in, and this position has some guys there. And we've been fortunate that we haven't had guys that are looking to leave. In my time here, we've had one young man, and it was because he needed to get back home, that wanted to get into the portal. The young men, they want to be here. But the thing is, we try to make sure we address it up front, because sometimes guys leave because they think they may have been promised playing time or they're not playing enough, but we try to let them know up front that you're going to have to compete. And we keep that when they get here, they're going to have to compete for playing time. They're going to have to, some guys aren't used to practicing and bringing it every day in meetings and weight room. But we try to have our standard is you're evaluated on everything. And your place on the depth chart, you determine that. And so we look at a game to help you out with this also. We look at a game being 80 plays, and we know we're going to play a guy that's going to be a 1 that's going to probably play 40 to 50 plays. Then there's going to be a guy that's going to get probably 15 to 22, and there'll be a guy that might get 5 to 8. Now, where are you going to fit in? Okay. And some guys might not like where they fit in. And what we say is that you have one college career, you have one college football career, and we want it to be successful, and a successful one for you. And so if they evaluate that and see that this isn't for them, we want to help them go another place to get the most out of their college career.
So with that all being said, we're going to be ready to get you out of here on these last couple of questions, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Sell your program to that high school senior. Why should a high school senior choose Fort Valley to play
football? High school seniors coming to Fort Valley State University have a chance to get an outstanding education from many of our diverse academic areas. And when it comes to football, this is an institution that's not just won championships, but also give an opportunity for young men to get an opportunity to play in professional leagues. You're going to come to Fort Valley State, and you're going to have an opportunity to compete for championships, period. That's the standard here. That's what's been expected. And we're going to, as far as the coaching staff, we're going to help you become a better football player and, of course, a better man, be a better husband, a better father, and contribute to society. And I'll end it with, go Wildcats.
Can't get that go Wildcats yet, because now I need you to talk. Now I need you to talk to your alumni, your fans, and your supporters.
Mm-hmm.
Give them that last message before we get out of here.
Well, I tell you, when it comes to our alumni, they would know that as the head football coaches, that I respect the tradition of Fort Valley State University and everything that's been done here before. This program was built by coaches that were championship level coaches and championship level players that love this university. And as the new head coach, my job is to help restore some of those traditions and the tradition of competing for championships, not every other year, not once every 5 years, but to compete for a championship every year. That's my goal. And you should see a well-disciplined football team that's going to play hard and represent Fort Valley State University in the best way possible.
Any final thoughts you want to get out before we close this out, Coach?
No, hey, again, thank you so much for having me. And we're excited to be a part of this inaugural classic that's special, the Red Tail Classic. And we're excited to play Tuskegee. We know that Coach Slater is going to have his guys ready to play. It's going to be a talented bunch of guys at a great venue to play, the Crampton Bowl. Last time I was in the Crampton Bowl was for a championship game in 2015. Just a great place to play, and really looking forward to it, looking for being a good crowd and, having a good performance on ESPNU.
All right, there you have it, Coach Maurice Flowers, head football coach at the Fort Valley State University. Coach Flowers, we thank you for joining us, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you very much, AB. Thank you for having me. Go Wildcats.
Follow the Black College Sports Network on social media at MyBCSN1, the number 1, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at MyBCSN1.